Well, we meet again. Same YouTube channel, but different space. Mark and I decided to swap rooms. This room is significantly smaller than my previous terracotta room. I just realized that I wanted a cozier nook office room, and I also hate overhead lighting. I love mood lighting. I love just natural light in general. So I decided to paint my walls Swiss Coffee by Bear, just so it brightens up the room, and best decision that I've made. I love the terracotta so much. I film in my office very regularly, and it was hard for me to get that natural lighting in with such a warm and dark room. Love how this ended up turning out. I did get a new chair. It's vintage from my mother and father-in-law. They let me have it because they're not using it anymore, and I love just how minimalist this room is. As a friend had mentioned, things don't really match up in the room between the curtains and the chair and the rug. All pieces that I love and I wanted to keep in the space. And this mismatchiness of it kind of makes it look fun and kind of eclectic. So that's what I'm going for. Welcome to this video. It's going to be like a monthly reset. I have made it. I've officially made it to the very last week of The Artist's Way. It's a little serendipitous that it's the last week of 2025 and I am on the last week of The Artist's Way. 12 whole weeks, even though I took some breaks and extended some weeks. I cannot believe that I've come this far. So in this video, we're going to talk about week 12 of The Artist's Way, which is recovering a sense of faith. I'll share my thoughts. If you're wanting to get into the artist's way, 2026 is the perfect time to start. So this should probably most likely be a chatty video. If you're into chatty videos, you'll enjoy it a lot. If you're not, well, 2026, we're apologizing no longer. And also in this video, we'll work on some mood boards for January and vision boards for the year. And I'm hoping to journal a lot this week. I have the entire week off. I don't start work until January 5th, which is a blessing. I'm very thankful for that and my job. But it should just be a cozy week at home. I'm not leaving the house unless I have to. I do have a wedding that Mark and I are going to on New Year's Eve, which will be loads of fun. But outside of that, you're gonna get a lot of just this. Comfy clothes, comfy vibes. This should hopefully be a very lazy and reflective week for me. I hope you enjoy, and I can't wait for 2026. It honestly feels so bittersweet to be done with The Artist's Way. Well, I'm not done with the week officially. I've just read through the chapter, worked on the activities, and took down some notes. So we'll talk about what I've learned. But I'm so proud of myself that I stuck through it. There were definitely moments where I wanted to give up, but I persisted. And remember a few chapters ago where I was like, I feel like some of this stuff that Julia Cameron is talking about is just repeat information from other weeks. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of felt that way about this week, but maybe that just means that she wanted to reiterate this information before finishing up the book and remind us just how important some of these concepts are. Maybe that's what that means. Some of this week, though, was centered around faith, which you all know how I feel about this. I am not really a religious person. I don't know why I say not really. I'm not religious at all. For the sake of the Artist's Way, though, I read with an open mind. So here we are, my key takeaways for week 12, the final week of the Artist's Way, which is recovering a sense of faith. So the first takeaway that I have for this chapter is that creativity requires trust in faith. And faith requires that we let go of control. And while I'm not religious, like I mentioned, I don't necessarily agree with it from a faith perspective, but I do think that to be creative and to be artistic and creatives, we need to let go of not only the perfectionism, but also let go of control. And I've talked about this in previous weeks. We need to let go of control and knowing exactly what we want to create and just go through the process. It's about the little steps that take us there, not exactly the final outcome. And when we acknowledge that the final outcome might not be what we expect, that's when we can just appreciate the creativity, and that's when we can just kind of let go and enjoy the moment. A quote from this section that I resonated with that can be applied to my creative self, but also my work self and my personal self is, I know the things I know, I trust my own inner guide. And it's the idea of being okay with everything that we've accomplished and everything that we thus far have taught ourselves and learned, and letting that guide us, not trying to be someone we're not trying to change the narrative. I think that when we accept ourselves unconditionally and holistically, that's when we can create the best type of art. The second takeaway is around being mysterious. Mystery is the heart of creativity. We often try to control ideas instead of letting them grow organically. Albert Einstein once said, "The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious." And then the last takeaway from this chapter is tying back to the very beginnings of the Artist's Way, where we are children at play when we are creating art. And it's the idea of imagination at play. The experience of creative living argues that hobbies are in fact essential to the joyous life. And if there's anything that the Artist's Way has taught me, is just this. It's the importance of finding hobbies, creative hobbies that you want to pursue, to just bring out the artist in you and also your childlike self. And it's the importance of being able to create. Not only does that spark imagination, it makes you just happier. And I've noticed that with myself, even though I'm not necessarily talented in the type of art that I'm creating. I've just learned that when I have these hobbies and I enjoy what I'm doing, we're just happier. We're just lighter, and we're just our inner child coming out to play. And that was probably one of the biggest reminders and takeaways from this chapter for me. And I want to 100% make sure that while I'm done with the Artist's Way, I continue on with these hobbies. The Artist's Way has gotten me to try out watercoloring, pastels, acrylic paint, knitting. It's helped me find a few different creative outlets, and as we get into 2026, I can figure out exactly what hobbies I want to take into 2026. Artist's Way has taught me how to scrapbook, create mood boards, and junk journal, and I definitely want to continue with that in 2026. I just love how the Artist's Way has overall reminded me that it's okay to be a child at times, even though I'm 32. It's okay to let loose. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to just have fun. And that's such an important part of life, because when we're adults, I'm noticing that life is hard. Being a homeowner is difficult. Working is difficult. Paying the bills is difficult. Life is just hard sometimes, emotionally, mentally. And we need these hobbies to honestly make sure we're sane. And so it's been really rewarding being able to figure out what my hobbies are. Since I started the Artist Way, I've been my most creative self. And those are my takeaways from week 12 of the Artist Way. We are officially done. I still can't believe it. With that, I'm going to leave you with my rambles, and I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do for my artist date. There's going to be a lot of creativity flowing as I reflect on my 12 week. Not life-changing, but definitely very helpful, and everyone should go through this at least once. And I can see myself going through the Artist Way maybe every 2 years. I think 2 or 3 years. Whenever I need to. It's always going to be here for me. 2025 was an ultimate shit show, and I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer and all, but 2025 was pretty rough holistically, from a political standpoint, from a personal standpoint. Don't get me wrong, there were some positives of 2025, and there are moments that bring me joy, and I'm doing a lot of reflection on this past year. But it's hard for me to remember and remind myself of these things when Mowgli happened, and I still can't get past October. And I just feel like since October, I've needed and wanted this year to end. I did work on my morning pages this morning. Even though I have completed the Artist Way officially, I've loved the act of my morning pages and this morning routine that I've created for myself thanks to the Artist Way. So I'm going to continue with that. I got myself a brand new morning pages journal. It's my Moleskine extended version. It just has way more paper. It has 400 sheets of paper. So I'll be able to hopefully use it for the entire year, unless I go on a writing spree and tell my life story every morning. But I like this notebook so far. I literally started it this morning, but I like that it fits in my Paper Republic. This is the Paper Republic Grand Voyager XL in chestnut. Yes, I did get myself another journal cover because I have my code that gives me 30% off of bundles, and I can give you 30% off of bundles too. So I decided, why not take advantage of my own code? So I did that. I did some morning pages and then figured out what I wanted to do for the rest of the day, how I want to spend the last bits of 2025. After finishing up my morning pages, I decided to do some reflecting for social media, for YouTube, my Instagram, and just write down some things that I want to take into 2026. Think of this as housekeeping for this next year for my social media presence. I thought I would share what I'm going to be focusing on for 2026, so you know what you can expect from me, specifically with YouTube and the types of books that I'm reading and whatnot. I'm still gonna be sharing weekly vlogs on Sunday mornings. I find that this is now what works for me, and I want to stick with it in terms of filming and editing. It gives me the right amount of time before I can publish it on Saturday mornings, and I'm not scrambling, because I was doing some scrambling when my videos were going out on Friday morning. So Saturdays work for me, and I hope they work for you. And in terms of what I want to continue filming, I feel like there's been a lot of learning in terms of what I enjoy filming. I know what I like to watch. I love watching vlogs. I've been really into journaling content lately and just more creative vlogs because of my journey with the Artist's Way. I want to still be able to share my monthly mood boards, just different arts and crafts that I'm working on. So you can expect to see that. But I have been coming back to the idea of reading vlogs, and I want to incorporate reading vlogs every single week. Previously, when I was doing reading vlogs, I was pushing myself to read maybe 2 to 3 books in a reading vlog, and that was very stressful, and I didn't find that to be fun at all. So moving forward, I'm still gonna do my lifestyle vlogs, but still incorporate one book into a weekly video. And I'm gonna make sure these books are not the super popular TikTok sensation books. I want to expand the type of books that I read, expand who I'm supporting, being more cognizant about reading from BIPOC authors. I just want to be able to share maybe books that you all have never heard before. And I find that when I read books that other people haven't read, it gets me to step outside of my comfort zone with how I articulate how I'm feeling towards this book. I think going about this will definitely challenge me to read outside of what I normally do, but also give me a chance to go through my physical TBR, which is yonder. I have quite a lot of books that I don't think other people have read before, and for 2026, one of my biggest goals, we'll get into goals later, is to read through as much as my TBR as possible. So I'm excited for this tiny shift. It's not major. You're still gonna see weekly vlogs focusing on lifestyle and art, but you can definitely expect me to read a book during that weekly vlog. If you aren't aware of this, I do have a Fable book club, and January is going to be the 1-year anniversary of my Fable book club. It's called We Read Books. It's free to join. You should definitely join if you want to read along. Every single month we pick the genre, and then we pick a book and we all read it together. If you want to read along, you should join. I feel like in the last 12 months we've done a pretty good job of choosing books that aren't extremely popular and brand new releases, just because not everyone is able to purchase the book right away, and this gives members a chance to get books from the library or borrow a book from a friend. Just more accessible ways to read the book if the book is a little bit older. So I find that that's what's worked for us so far, and I'm sure we'll continue with that. So join my Fable book club if you want to read books with me. This next bit ties back to the types of books that I want to read and showcase on my YouTube channel. But something that I've considered and finally decided is that I am not going to apply for any new influencer programs. The only influencer program that I would like to still be a part of once the renewal cycle comes around is Saga Press Books. I am a big fan. I'm a part of 3 or 4 influencer programs outside of Saga Press Books. I am gifted books, and then I tend not to read them at that time, and I feel like there's a large backlog. I want to utilize my local public library and utilize my physical bookshelf. I find that when it comes to the monthly selection for these influencer programs, I choose books that I I don't necessarily want to read. I feel like I have to select a book, and then I get that physical book, and then I don't want to read it, and it feels just so forced. And in 2026, I want to read books that genuinely I find interesting, and I want to spend my time reading. So that's just a decision that I've made for 2026, and we'll see how it goes. Those are my housekeeping bits for 2026, what you can expect out of me with this new year. I hope you still decide to stay and follow along. This has been my best YouTube year, and I say that because I am more comfortable talking to the camera. I feel like I found a flow with the structure of my YouTube videos and what I like to film. Editing is so much easier. I feel like I am finding little ways to be more artistic in my videos, and it doesn't feel forced. It feels a lot more natural to me. YouTube is very, very scary. Long form content is terrifying, and this is probably going to be one of the longer videos because it's just so chatty. I've genuinely enjoyed filming videos this past year, and I can't wait to see the types of content I'll be filming in 2026. I do have some goals that I want to get into. I'm still reflecting and figuring out what my intentions for 2026 are going to be, and that includes January, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. But so far, this last day of 2025 is calm, relaxing, reflective. I'm gonna sit and finish up my cup of coffee. All I know is that I'm going to do my best to make sure today is one of the better days of 2025. Cheers. Happy 2026, everybody. It's actually the second day of January. Yesterday, I was very hungover and I didn't start my day until 3:30 p.m., but that's okay. I needed a day off and I feel very refreshed today. Today is technically my first day of the year. Yesterday doesn't count. I did nothing but rot on the couch. I took a nap. I've been watching Tell Me Lies. I'm on season 1. It's a rewatch for me. This will be the 4th time I'm watching Tell Me Lies. If you haven't watched it and you like toxic storylines, you should definitely watch the show. The new season 3, comes out, I believe, on January 13th. So I'm trying to do a rewatch of the show before the 3rd season. And I read a little bit and spent the rest of the evening catching up on some journaling and thinking about my goals for the year, my ins and outs. So I'm going to share those today. I did end up finishing my mood board for January. I was originally going to do a 2025 mood board, and then I decided that was a lot of pressure. Give me a second. I'm going to drop you down a bit. Much better. So we're just gonna stick with monthly mood boards because that's how we're gonna take life month by month. But for this month, as you probably saw, there's just a lot of activities in here. It's very cozy. I want January to be a hibernation month. I want to come back to some of those activities that I've neglected, like playing board games, Sudoku, just spending time journaling. I want to come back to the slower activities that help the days pass by. January always feels like one of the slowest months of the year, and I want to find little ways to spark energy and fill my cup. It's also my husband's birthday month, so a good time to celebrate, but there's a lot of days in between January 1st and January 22nd, his birthday. So I'll just be doing a lot of nothing and a little bit of everything. And it's just a good representation of what I want my January to be like. It was nice that I worked on my mood board before focusing on my goals for the year, because my mood board helped me set up my goals and help me figure out what I want to spend 2026 focusing on. I thought we could start off by talking about my ins and outs for 2026. I really like this idea and I found it on TikTok. So I made two different spreads. On the left, it's my ins and outs for 2026, and then on the right, it's my goals. And I left a lot of blank space because I don't necessarily think that these goals have to be ending, or I guess what I'm trying to say is that our goals don't have to be finite. I think we're allowed to add to our goals for the year midway through. I think we're allowed to modify. That's okay too. So I love how I kept both of these pages minimal, because I can look back to my ins and outs, my goals. I can add to them. I can update them as needed, just based on how my life is moving and in the direction that it's going. For my ins and outs, we'll start with outs, because these are things that I want to let go of in 2026. The first being, as you might guess, doom scrolling. I got the brick for Christmas and I've been using it every single day, and it's actually helped cut my TikTok usage and doom scrolling. But I really want to embrace being analog and not relying on social media, not relying on electronics in 2026. Doom scrolling is something I'm leaving out. It just wastes so much of my time. There are so many other activities and things I can be doing instead of doom scrolling. And I want to take advantage of my time, my space, because there are not enough days in the year. There aren't enough minutes in a day, hours in a day. There's not enough time. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that when I get rid of doom scrolling, it opens up more space for other activities and things that I actually want to be doing that can take up space. And then straight hair. I have been on my curly, girly hair journey for about 2 years now. So actually, New Year's Eve was the first day in about 2 years where I've added heat to my hair, and I regret it. I tried to add some curls to my hair for the wedding, and it ended up just being straight, and I ended up hating how my hair looked. And it reminded me that I do indeed enjoy my curls, even though sometimes they're just frizzy and chaotic. I want to embrace my curly hair to the fullest in 2026. Consumerism. This is so tough because we live in a world where we have to buy things out of necessity, and so I can't necessarily control that, but I want to be better about saving my money and not buying things that I don't need. And this is going to tie into some of my ins that I've added for myself, but knowing that I don't need every single thing that I want. I don't need that. I don't need random extra shit in my life. I don't need to buy it. Don't buy it. Negativity. 2025 was overall a pretty shitty year, and something that I want to let go of in 2026 is negativity, in the sense that if I have something negative that I'm thinking about, something negative that I want to say, I want to make sure that I balance that with something positive. I know this is going to be a tough one because we're all human. We're going to have those good and those bad days, but it's about the balance of the two. For every negative idea or thought that I have for myself, I think there's always something brighter that we can think of. And I want to fill my space with positivity in 2026. I just want to be an overall more optimistic person. I feel like I used to be, and then I hit my 30s, and now I'm just a cranky fool. I'm just cranky and sad all the time. And so I want to find ways where I can shift my perspective from feeling so negative and remind myself that there is beauty in life. These next few are pretty self-explanatory. The first being ChatGPT or using AI. So many reasons why ChatGPT and AI are such a problem in society right now, and I don't need to be adding fuel to the fire. Amazon. The first half of 2025, I was doing such a great job of monitoring what I'm purchasing on Amazon, and my spending on Amazon significantly did decrease because of that. But then second half of the year happened, and I feel like I didn't even have that goal. So I'm bringing that back. Amazon is out, always supporting local, always supporting in-store at companies that have my own values. And that still includes me not going to Walmart, not going to Target, not shopping at Kohl's or Sam's Club. Basically, I'll be spending my time at Costco. Problematic authors have always been out, but another reminder that I do not support problematic authors, and what I can do to better educate myself before I pick up a book or talk about a series is looking into the author a little bit just to make sure that their values and what they're writing and their storytelling is aligning with what I believe in, because I have a voice on this platform, on TikTok, on Instagram, and especially since I am reading books more than the average person, I think that it's important for me to make sure that I am supporting authors that I value and their ideas and values align with what I believe in as well. And the last thing is beer. I think after I hit like 28, I decided that beer was never something that I enjoyed. And so just a reminder that it is out, baby. Now let's talk about the fun part, my ins. Slow mornings, as you all know. I love my morning routine. I love my slow mornings with my cup of coffee, my morning pages, and then spending an hour or so reading my book. I'm going to continue that into 2026 because it's actually one of my favorite parts of my day, just being alone with myself. And now that I got the brick, I've scheduled it so that I can't even get on social media until 8:30, and that's when I have to leave for work. Dressing up at home. Now, this might be a little controversial because I, like most, love to wear sweatpants and baggy clothes and sweatshirts at home. I love to be cozy, but I have a lot of cute, cozy, comfortable clothes. Say that 5 times fast. Cute, cozy, comfortable clothes. Cute, cozy, comfortable clothes. Let's not do that anymore. But I have a wardrobe that would work for at home as well. And so I want to be better about not looking like a slouch at home. I know there's going to be days where that's all I'm going to want to wear, but maybe especially during the week, since I do tend to film short form content here and there or film for YouTube, I want to try to elevate my attire even when I'm at home. A lot of my jeans that I own now are comfortable anyway. It's not like I wear tight jeans. I don't wear super form-fitted clothing. So my wardrobe is already comfortable. Why don't I wear that at home so I get use out of it in addition to when I go out? So I'm always looking cute. Junk journaling and scrapbooking, you all know that I've been working on getting rid of perfectionism and just enjoying creating art without thinking too much about it and about the art that I'm creating. And junk journaling and scrapbooking has been so much fun, and it's just letting go of that pressure. So I'm going to continue that. And along with that is an analog lifestyle, and kind of goes into doom scrolling. I want to use electronics less. I want to find more activities that I can do that replace social media. So that can be puzzling, coloring, drawing, junk journaling, scrapbooking, reading, watching television, playing board games, going on a walk, you name it. There are so many other things that we can do to make our life more analog. Cooking at home, I feel like I go through phases where I'm like, I'm gonna cook at home, I'm gonna try making new meals, and then all we do is eat mac and cheese for like a whole week straight, which I love, by the way. But I do want to be better about using my cookbooks and making food at home rather than getting DoorDash delivered. So my goal and an in for 2026 is to make one new meal a week. Easy. Doesn't matter what day, just one new meal a week, because we'll still likely have leftovers. Reading before bed instead of doom scrolling, I actually set my brick up to turn on at 9:30 p.m. on weekdays. So I'm forcing myself to read and not get on social media. Financial literacy, making sure I know exactly where my money is going and saving up for the future. This next one is new for me and I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I want to give myself a monthly allowance, maybe $100 a month to spend on whatever I want, whether it be a piece of clothing or a trinket, a set of books. Whatever it is, I'm gonna try giving myself an allowance and sticking to my budget, and that's also gonna help with saving money and not giving in to consumerism. An in for me is natural fibers. As you all know, I've been working on curating my closet to not only fit what I enjoy wearing, but also making sure that I only wear natural fibers on my body. So think cotton, linen, wool, non-synthetic fibers. In 2026, knitting is in. I am currently working on my first knitting project, the Step-by-Step Sweater by Florence Miller, and I want to continue knitting after that because it's not only challenging, but I love that I can get use out of what I'm creating after. 2026 is the year that I read through my TBR, so an in for me is utilizing my public library. So I read from my local public library and also read from my personal library. Lastly, since beer is out, wine and extra dirty martinis are in. So those are my ins and outs for 2026, and they actually tie pretty nicely into my goals for 2026. It's January. What a gift. I can start all over. I found this while I was working on my mood board, so I thought I would add it to this spread. And now let's quickly chat through my goals so you don't have to listen to me talk for the rest of your life. My first goal is to fall back in love with fitness again. I have always been an all or nothing gal, and for the first half of 2025, I was going to Pilates. I was working out. I was training for a 10K, and I was always doing something exercise related every single day. And after my girls trip with my sister to Arizona for a spa, I barely worked out for the rest of the year, and I want to get back into the habit of moving my body, even if it's just for 20 minutes every day. I want to find activities that I enjoy doing, walking, yoga, strength training, help get back into that habit because I lost that habit. This next goal is going to be very scary, but not everything in life is easy. And I started a YouTube channel, so I think I can do this. I want to start a Substack. I've been reading Substack articles and following some of my friends for a little bit now. I would say a month of me actually truly getting into Substack, and I found that it's a nicer way to spend my time than doom scrolling. And I'm always trying to improve my writing. On YouTube, my speaking skills have improved drastically, even just from my first 30 or so videos from when I started 2 years ago, and I want to translate that into writing form. So I thought it would be fun to start with maybe once a month Substack post. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I would like to improve my overall writing skills, and I think this is going to help not only for my actual 9-to-5 job, but also in turn help me with writing book reviews and speaking as well. I'm so over reading goals, but for the sake of being on BookTube and having a fable, I set my reading goal to be 52 books this year. So that's a one book a week. Another goal is to condense my wardrobe to be more of a capsule wardrobe. I am slowly going through all of my clothes, seeing what fits, seeing what I don't like, making sure that I'm actually going to get wear out of my clothes. And that's great and all, but I feel like my wardrobe is still way too much for me and my lifestyle. So I want to focus 2026 on curating my closet to be more intentional pieces that I genuinely know that I'm going to wear and get a lot of use of. I want to find a way to track all of my clothes and what I'm wearing daily so I can figure out what needs to stay and what needs to go. This is just 9 to 5 work related, but one of my goals this year is to get promoted at work. I would like to learn a new language. Mark and I are going to Japan this year, and before then, I would like to learn a little bit of Japanese, just the basics, so I can get my way around Japan and not feel like a dummy. This next one is silly, but there's nothing better than silly goals. It's to save up for a Baba sweater during Black Friday. I'm a big fan of Baba now. I have 3 at the moment, and rather than splurging hard and not setting aside that money for when November comes, I've already set up automatic money transfers every month into a Baba fund so I can treat myself to a Baba in November and not feel guilty about it. Kind of tying into doom scrolling and finding other activities, I just want to utilize Substack more this year. I know I've only been on Substack for maybe a month now, but I want to spend reading an article or two from Substack every single day. And so I can learn something new and support other creators in a different format. An easy one, continue with weekly vlogs on YouTube. I have 2 more goals, the second to last being to read through my physical TBR, which is staring at me right now. I have almost 85 books that are unread, so I need to get going. And then my last goal is to allow Bookstagram to be a hobby again. I recently put this down. I think that there was a point where I felt the need to post every day or every other day, and I wasn't seeing the engagement that I wanted to, or I wasn't seeing the growth that I wanted to with followers, and it takes the fun out of the idea of having a Bookstagram when you're so caught up in the numbers. I want to enjoy Bookstagram again. I just want to post when I want to post. I don't want to have to think too much into it. I want to take pressure out of reading this year and posting this year as well, and just come back to why I started a Bookstagram to begin with a few years ago. I started it so I can share my book reviews and I can chat about books with like-minded individuals, and that's what makes Bookstagram fun. So I want to find why I love Bookstagram so much again and just have fun, be creative, not think too much about it. And those are my goals and ins and outs for 2026. It's going to be a good year, and I am looking forward to growing as a person, doom scrolling less, and just being the not best version of myself, because I don't know if that's possible, but being a better version of myself than last year. How about that? I'm going to end this video here. It's been a chatty one. I am excited for next week's video because we're going to start off the year with my first reading vlog, and it's going to be an arc. So I'm excited. And in next week's video, I will also share my tips, tricks, recommendations for the Artist Way. If you're planning on going through the 12-week journey or longer than 12 weeks, it doesn't have to feel rushed. You can take longer than 12 weeks if you need to, because I know I did, and that's how I benefited the most out of it. But I'll share some of my overall thoughts for the Artist's Way. I will see you in another video next week. Happy 2026. Welcome to January. I hope you all are staying cozy wherever you are, and see you next week. Bye.